Hey guys, this is Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under, and today we're going to be doing the ultimate free-to-play first-person shooter tier list. I haven't gone and made a video in a couple of weeks. Everybody's been putting out tier lists, and I thought, why don't I go and do a tier list on a topic that I think I know quite well, and that is free-to-play first-person shooters. And in this video, we're going to be covering and rating every single free-to-play first-person shooter that you guys could possibly think of. And if there's a game that I've left out and you think is really, really important for me to go and rate, leave a comment in the comment section below and we might go and do a follow-up. But with that said, we have got popular games, we've got recent games, we've got games from 10 years ago, we've got the spectrum of free-to-play first-person shooters, and I have played every single one of these games. Obviously, some games are more than others, but I have an opinion formed for all of them and we're going to be rating them. But with that said, some of the games you might not know, so I'm going to be putting a video clip of just a little bit of gameplay, 5 to 10 seconds, just so you guys can get acquainted if you haven't seen the game before. I'm going to be doing that for every single title. So with that said, let's go and start out with the first game, and it's probably the most relevant right now, and that is Pecks Legends. Fantastic first-person shooter, but we're going to be putting that in the I'm going to say we're going to be chucking that in the A tier. People would say put that in the B tier because of the lack of content, but the game itself is really solid, and it's leagues above a lot of other first-person shooters that we're going to be talking about today, and overall it's a fantastic AAA first-person shooter. Definitely deserves that A title. Now, the second game we're going to be talking about, we're going to be kicking it way back with Blacklight Retribution. And I want to talk very quickly about what state of the game I'm actually going to be rating. So, with Blacklight Retribution, the game was really popular quite a long time ago, and it really was a fun game, but it went down, and now the game is currently died. So basically, currently dead, I mean. So what I'm going to be doing today is, for the games that are dead, rating their last playable version, And in the, the case of Blacklight Retribution here, it's a C game. It's definitely a C. If it, we're talking a couple years ago, that would be up to an A tier, possibly S tier. That game was so much fun to go and play, literally revolutionary in the free-to-play realm. Now, moving on to another title that is a kickback to the past, but we've got a little bit of a rejuvenation on this one, and that's AVA Dog Tag, the 2018 revival of Alliance of Valiant Arms, a very old free-to-play first-person shooter. And sadly, this game has been shut down. It's going to be shutting down quite soon. I think that the developers just had a bit of financial trouble, couldn't go and sustain the game, and that is really sad, especially because they had no publisher. So, the publisher picks up this game, I'd be quite excited to get it back, but it's going to be sitting in the C tier. It had dated mechanics, the maps were dated, the graphics were dated, but overall, it was still a really fun time. Now, moving down to a game that has been in some hot water recently, and that one is Black Squad. Black Squad, fantastic first-person shooter, but overall it has been going down a little bit, but I still think it's a very worthwhile first-person shooter to play. It's got that very heavy Korea influence, and that's going to sit very nicely in the B tier. Next one, Blackshot Revolution. We're going to be seeing that in the D tier. Very generic first-person shooter. Not much to go and talk about for that one. And let's go and put a few more generic ones in here. Counter-Strike Next and Zombies, actually a fun time, but still, probably DE tier. I'll put that there. Yeah, that's sitting there for now. I think that is a pretty good spot. But we've got the E tier and the trash tier as well. So overall, I might have to be doing some shuffling around later on. Let's go and pick out a game that sadly died last year, but I was a very big fan of, and that's Lawbreakers. Originally, not a free-to-play game. It was going to be, then it went pay-to-play, then it went free-to-play, but I still wanted to go and talk about it since it was a free-to-play game for quite a long time. And, boys, that game's sitting in the B tier. It probably A- is probably where it should be sitting, in my opinion. The game was an absolute joy to play. It had a lot of issues, but still a fantastic title. Let's chuck a really high-rated one in here, and that is Counter-Strike Global Offensive, the game that everybody adores. And I'm pretty sure there is no other place than the S tier for this title. It is the best first-person shooter, in my opinion, right now. The best first-person shooter you can go and play, free to play or not. It deserves that A tier. It is the golden crown of what FPS gaming should be, and it sits there very, very, very uncontested. Let's go and pull this one up. I know you guys have been waiting for this one. If you're an old school fan of my channel, Combat Arms Classic. Now, this is the classic reboot of Combat Arms, and boys, that's going to be sitting. Okay, if I'm going to put this, I'm going to sit this in the C tier, I reckon. I would have potentially put it in the D tier, but man, the raw mechanics of this game is just too good. The game is just too good. But you know, compare it to other, like, if I rated this game, Combat Arms, from 2009, it would be up here. Like, that's biased, right? Because I really like the game, but right now in 2019, it really doesn't go and get much higher than a C tier. Let's go and put Tactical Intervention in list. Now, this is a game that was made by Counter-Strike's creator, and it's not a good game. It's not a good game. It's so bad. It's the first one we're chucking in the trash tier. I absolutely hated this title. It was not good. It is not good. Mechanics were wonky. The graphics were terrible. The game had no premise. It was all over the place. And the fact that the Counter-Strike creator went and made this game, or helped make this game, it's just it's a little bit sad, to be perfectly honest. So, moving now onto some more older games. Tactical Intervention was an older game, but let's go and bust out an even older one. Tribes Ascend. I know the logo's a bit funky, but we can get past that. Tribes Ascend, the fast-paced game made by Hi-Rez. Boys, that's sitting in the A tier. That is sitting in the A tier. This is such a unique concept of running around super fast, capturing the flag, shooting people in midair. The game had a ton of problems, pay to win, so on, but in its final form, the game was actually quite playable and quite fun. It just didn't have that player base. Maybe it should sit in the B tier, but we're going to hit it in the A tier right now. I have lots of fond memories, and even when the game was at its last legs, it was still, you know, Hi-Rez gave it a little bit of a push, but it didn't really go and work out. Next one I want to go and talk about is a game that has been cropping up on my channel quite a few times, and that is Krunker.io. Krunker.io, man, it is a browser game for the ages, and if we were doing a browser FPS list, I would chuck that in the S tier, but when it comes to, in the whole context of everything, it's going to be sitting in the A tier. Even though the Minecrafty graphics may look a little bit unappealing and whatnot, the game runs extremely well in the browser, has a Call of Duty 4 B-Hop mentality, very, very fun, run and gun. It's really the game I've been playing quite a lot of, simply because it's accessible and really, you know, accessible, quite fun, and overall I can just have a 3-minute match and hop off and go back to my homework. Now, boys, what should we go and pick up next? Let's go and pick up this one, this game right here. You might not go and recognize the logo, but it is Crossfire, the very, very popular Chinese free-to-play first-person shooter. And we'll hit that in the C tier. I think the C tier is pretty acceptable for that game. Ruined with pay to win in North America. Very, very popular in China. So many people go and play this game, but overall, it's not the best. It's not the best one to go and play. Now, with that said, let's go and pull up a game that's gonna get some controversy. No, wait, okay, I pulled up the wrong logo. We'll go and talk about the controversial one a little bit later. For now, let's go and talk about this game right here, Wolf Team. You guys probably don't even know this. This game is so old. But basically, you turned into a wolf and you could jump on people and kill them. It's an E tier. It's a trash game. It was fun for a little bit, but man, pay to win, it was not good. Now, talking about that game I was just about before, with the controversy and all that, let's go and pull up this one. That is Warface. Warface, the game made by Crytek. Very passionate fan base. I made a video a long time ago, about last year, about a year ago, going and just rating the Battle Royale mode of this game just so badly. And it's not a D tier. It's not a B tier, it's going to be sitting in the C tier. Even though I don't enjoy the game that much, it's still okay. It's an okay free-to-play first-person shooter. And you can already see we're getting this normal distribution where the majority of the games are going to be seen around the C to D tier, and then we've got a few in the A, and so on, so on. That's kind of how these tier lists work. So, with that said, will there be any other S-tier games? That is the question. Next game to go and chuck into the list, Quake Champions. Man, this game... It's unfortunate that it's declined so heavily because there is a lot of problems with the game, but it's still really, really fun, and it's a B tier. It's a B tier, it's fast, it's frantic, it's got that Tribes Ascend kind of DNA. Not really, but you know what I mean. These games are very based off the fast-paced, raw mechanics of competitiveness and stuff like that, and Quake Champions goes and does it quite well, but it's just riddled with issues. A game riddled with issues, however, another game riddled with issues is Zula, the pay-to-win Counter-Strike Global Offensive clone made for Turkey. The game, actually, when I played it, was quite fun, but man, that's going to be sitting in a D tier. That's going to be sitting in a D tier. It's got some problems, pay-to-win, and why would you play this game when you could go and play Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which is a free-to-play game as well? So, overall, it's going to be sitting there for a variety of reasons. So, let's go and pull up another one. Planetside 2, boys. Planetside 2. This is an old game, but it's had a little bit of a resurgence. I've played it recently and sitting in the A tier. It's going to sit in the A tier. The reason why, or it could go down to the B tier, but we'll sit in the A tier for now. It's one of the only, I think it's the only open world game on this list. Open world, MMO, first person shooter, not massive player base, but significant player base. It's getting updates. It's getting support. Overall, really happy where this game is going. It's an A tier, probably maybe an A plus or something like that. It's a very, very solid title. Now, let's go and kick it back to a game that has unfortunately died, and that is Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex First Assault Online. That's the official title of it. This game, man, it had its problem, very, very janky movement, but it was based off the Ghost in the Shell anime. You could play the different characters. There was a full weapon customization, different maps, different modes. Overall, really, really fun title. And in its last stages of its life, it's unfortunately going to be sitting in the D tier. If you went back before the parity patch, which just changed everything about the game, that would be seen in the B tier. That game was really, really good before its final patch, but you know, for now it's going to be sitting in the D tier because that game has been taken offline and sadly you cannot go and play it anymore. But let's go and bring in another game that you guys are definitely quite a big fan of on this channel. That game is Iron Sight. This is going to go and turn some heads, some opinions right here. But Iron Sight is one of those games where it's a Call of Duty clone through and through. Great mechanics, great movement. It's overall, it does Call of Duty well, but it's just rough around the edges. And I think a lot of people would feel like it should be in the C tier, but we're going to go and chuck it in the B tier for now. The B tier, simply because that game, it does free-to-play gaming really, really well. It's not too pay to win. I shouldn't scroll my mouse like that. And the fact it has a lot of content and the kill streaks and whatnot. It's Call of Duty, but free to play. It's not terribly original, but you know, it goes and sits in that, section. So we don't really have that distribution I'm looking for. We kind of need a bit more games down in the C and D tier. So with that said, let's go and bust out a game that will definitely not be in the C and D tier, and that is Dirty Bomb, man. Dirty Bomb, one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time. The movement in that game, everything about this title was unique. And man, splash damage, they did what they could with the title, but it just sadly dropped off. It kept dropping off, so on and so on. A lot of mistakes, and sadly it died. But the final state of the game, I think you can still go and play it on Steam. I feel there's still community servers and stuff like that. Man, I feel like a couple years ago I'll chuck that in the A to S tier, but for now we're going to be putting in the B tier. Still a playable game by far, but it's definitely a title that, oh man, if it got revived and really got some really big oomph behind it, I feel like there could be some good stuff, you know, done with it. But for now, B tier in its not so good form. Now let's go and play a game that has died, and that is Unreal Tournament. Unreal Tournament is a game that was supposed to go and rival Quake Champions, but it was supposed to be like an open source alternative, and fun game. But as soon as Epic Games got, really going with Fortnite and all of that, they just kind of dropped off development of that title, and it's not a bad game, but it's just not fleshed out. The raw mechanics are fun, but it's not a game I'd definitely recommend in its abandoned state. So it's gone in the D tier. I've had a few more. Actually, you know what? It doesn't deserve to be in a D tier. It deserves to be in the C tier. It deserves to be in the C tier because the game is still enjoyable and it's still Unreal Tournament, and it doesn't deserve to be, clumped in with this and this. Man, I really want to put First Assault in C tier, but man, that last patch ruined it so badly. So badly. Really unfortunate for that title. Now let's go and talk about a game that was ruined because of a sexual scandal. Basically, this game here, Suntac 2, sorry, not the original Suntac 2 we're talking about. It was released in Korea, had a massive marketing campaign, massive amount of money put behind it, but because of some bikini girls or something like that, the game got taken offline and never got a North American release. It was literally live in Korea in the open beta phase, or closed beta, for literally a month before Nexon went and pulled it. A really big loss to Nexon, especially because the game was so hyped. Sudden Attack is still quite playable, but Sudden Attack 2, man, that goes in the D tier. It wasn't particularly that good of a game. It was kind of fun, but man, it's Combat Arms Reloaded. I know you guys have been waiting for this one. I've been dragging it out to the end for a reason, but man, this game is a lot of fun, but it has a lot of issues. But even still, with its issues and the pay to win here and there, I would love to chuck it in the B-, but we're just gonna chuck it in the B. I'm biased, given that I really like this game, but I really don't feel like I don't feel like it deserves the A tier given the state the game's in. If it got really reworked and got pushed in the right direction, sure, we could chuck it in A. But the mechanics are fantastic, but the pay to win and the lack of support from Valoth in terms of supporting the game, it's just it's a bit of a mess at this point. Now moving down to some games that you guys have probably heard of, but not heard of as much. Heroes in General, World War II. It's actually saying that it's a very popular game on Steam. It's complete garbage, boys. Why are you playing it? It's a bad game. It's an E tier. I hate the title so much. I don't feel like there's anything that really goes to me and says, okay, this is worth playing. It's open world, yes, but the UI is garbage, the gameplay mechanics for movement is garbage, the shooting's garbage, the hackers, so many hackers, the lag, it's a really bad game. Good concept, but terrible execution. And another game that has a decent concept, but terrible execution, but probably even worse. I don't even know where to put this at this point, and that's Modern Combat Versus, which is basically a Call of Duty Black Ops 3 clone for the mobile that was ported to the PC by Gameloft. This game is garbage. It is trash. It is a second trash game. The premise of the title makes sense. Just go and rip off Black Ops 3 and put it on the PC, but they've just shaved off everything. They've just gone chunk, and just literally chopped off any resemblance of fun, and it's literally just like you're an NPC walking around shooting people. There is nothing good about this game whatsoever, and I know people to disagree with me on that, but yeah, it's just not a good title. But with that said, let's go and talk about its big brother, Modern Combat 5, which has the Battle Royale mode, a multiplayer, and a single player. And overall, this is a much better title in my opinion. Is it a good game? I wouldn't go and say so, but is it a game that I would recommend if you're going to play on the PC? No. But on the mobile, yes. Quite fun on the mobile. You run around, you shoot people, you can unlock weapons, you've got the Battle Royale mode as well, which is actually quite functional and, quite enjoyable. We're going to be chucking that in the D tier for sure. Now, we've got quite a few, I think we've got about 6 or 7 games left, and I know there's at least 2 or 3 that you guys have been waiting for as, where's he going to go and put it? But let's go and tick one of those off the list. So that's a Line of Sight. Line of Sight is the free-to-play first-person... Oh god, these are all free-to-play first-person shooters. This is the game that was supposed to be the sequel to Combat Arms. It was made by Blacklight Entertainment. And the game has had its fair share of issues, but overall, I might be a bit biased because I've done promotional campaigns and I've talked to the owner and all of that. But with that said, we'll put an S tier maybe? No. It's not going to be in the S tier. The game, the mechanics are fun, but lag, hackers, lack of polish is probably a really big problem for that title. We're going to be putting it in the D tier. And as you can see, not a few games in S and A, but a lot is clumping around the C to D, and this is just a state of free-to-play first-person shooter. Shooters in general. If we did a list on free-to-play games in general, man, that'd be a very, very, very interesting list. So tell me in the comment section below if you want me to go and do that. Alright, the next game we're going to be putting on, we'll get through these a little bit quicker, is Block and Load. It's like a Minecrafty type game that died a couple of years ago, I believe. It had an okay premise, but Ace of Spades did it better. I don't know why I haven't got Ace of Spades on this list. That game is actually quite fun. But this one, pay to win, hackers and lag. Sorry, I combined the two together, but yeah, that goes into the E tier. Now, let's go and pull out a game you guys have probably been waiting for. Survivorium! No, you haven't been waiting for this one. I just debated you. This game is like a post-apocalyptic shooter, and this is another one of those titles we're chucking in the trash tier. Hackers, lag, lack of content. Overall, the game's just a complete mess. And I might go back and play it again, and because I haven't played it in a couple of months. But man, it's definitely not an E tier title. It's the trash tier. Definitely in the trash tier. Let's go and pull out one of these titles you guys have been waiting for, and that game is Paladins. Paladins. This is a game that has divided opinion for sure. Some people think, man, it's like the go-to, hero shooter. It's better than Overwatch. Some people think, oh, it's just an Overwatch clone. My opinion is that this game is not only better than Overwatch, it's a better game than Overwatch. I think it has more customization. I think it has more content. It has more variety. Though Hi-Rez is a very questionable developer and publisher, we're going to be chucking tentatively in the A tier for now. In the A tier. And the fact that Paladins is on the same level as Apex Legends makes me a bit worried. But we'll work this list around in just a little bit. I feel like I know what I'm going to do here. The next game I want to go and talk about very quickly is Warrock. This is another one of your generic free-to-play first-person, very stiff mechanics, but still has a dedicated player base for some reason or another. That goes... Does it go in the E tier or the D tier? It's probably going to go in the D tier. It's probably going in D tier. It's not that good of a game. And the next title is Skill Special Forces 2. This game actually wasn't that bad. It had a good concept. The execution was quite good. The gameplay mechanics good. Movement, shooting, customization, all of that. It's just, I haven't played it in about a year or so because it literally restricts me because of my IP address or something like that. So I haven't played it in a while. But from what I last played of it, I quite enjoyed it. So, C tier. So with that said, we've got one last game. And this is a game that guys have probably been waiting for. Team Fortress 2. TF2, boys. Where do we put Team Fortress 2 in this scope? Now, if you asked year 9 me 10 years ago where I'd put Team Fortress 2, I'd chuck it up here, man. It was just it literally revolutionized the whole scope for what free-to-play gaming should be. But now the game's dropped off. Valve is not giving it as much support. I'm going to have to sadly put it in the B tier, lower than Paladins. Sadly. But I feel like that is a worthy decision. And as you can go and see, that is basically my tier list. This is about right. Yeah. Maybe, I'd say maybe we'll chuck Crossfire. We're going to chuck Crossfire probably in D tier. I don't think it's actually that good of a title. We'll probably put Nixon Zombies probably down to E tier. Blackshot Revolution down to E tier. So now I'm just, kind of filling about with the D and E. But overall, I think that is my tier list for free-to-play first-person shooters. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to go and hit the like button, and also tell me in the comment section below if you want me to go and do more lists about free-to-play games, free-to-play Steam games, free-to-play games in general. Go and tell me, and I'll definitely go and make a list in the future. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Bye for now, it's Undercover Dudes, all the way from Down Under, out.